He leaves everything. In the ancient Near East, around 4,000 years ago, a man named Abram answers a strange call that promises land and descendants. This is the real story of a radical step of faith. Abram is a settled nomad, around 75 years old, burdened by years, but open to promise. He tends herds and livelihoods and carries an old staff as his authority. His life is comfortable but limited to the familiar. Sarah is Abram's wife, around 65, quiet, observant, and protected by tradition. She travels with the household and shares the risk, though the promise before them will test her hope in ways she does not yet see. In that quiet night, God speaks to Abram and says, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's house, and go to the land I will show you." The command is simple and total. It calls for leaving security for a promise without visible evidence. As the voice continues, God promises to make Abram into a great nation, to bless him, and to make his name great. The spiritual stakes are immense. In that culture, offspring and land means survival, reputation, and legacy for generations. In that dawn, Abram rises without bargaining. He loads his household and possessions and begins the journey toward the unknown land. Obedience here is not blind, but trust built on the promise. This move reshapes his identity from local man to pilgrim of a divine purpose. Days pass and the caravan approaches Canaan. The land appears varied with valleys and cities. Abram walks the soil with awe and prayer, because arriving does not mean possession. In the ancient world, claiming a land required not only footfall, but blessing and acceptance. When they arrive, Abram builds an altar to the Lord. He does this in several places. The altars mark worship and acknowledgement that this journey is not merely geographic but covenantal. In that culture, altars stand as public signs that God has met a family. But before their roots deepen, a famine arises in the land. As a result, Abram moves down to Egypt seeking grain and survival. This detour shows that faith lives inside frail human needs, and that promises can be tested by immediate necessity. When they enter Egypt, Abram fears that Sarah will be taken because she is beautiful. So he tells her to say she is his sister. The plan is pragmatic but compromised by fear. It reveals how doubt can shape choices even in the life of faith. As a result, Sarah is presented before Pharaoh and gains favor in his house. She is treated as a noble because of her looks, and Abram receives wealth in return. The scene shows how human strategies can create moral danger even while bringing short-term blessing. But the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah. Pharaoh discovers the deception. God acts to preserve the marriage and to correct the situation. The intervention shows that divine protection can operate even through human failure. As a result, Pharaoh confronts Abram and rebukes him for deceiving him. Acting now to avoid further curse, Pharaoh orders Abram and Sarah to leave with their possessions. The removal is abrupt and humbling, but restores the couple's autonomy. When they leave Egypt, Abram returns to the Negev and then back toward Bethel. He walks with new caution, having seen how fear shaped his choices. The journey home carries both material gain and spiritual cost. Abram is learning that promise and practice can conflict. As the dust settles at Bethel, God appears again in that place and reiterates the promise: land and descendants. This reaffirmation matters because it shows the covenant is not withdrawn by human failure. Divine patience and purpose endure beyond imperfect obedience. In that moment, Abram understands the scope of the call. He is to be a conduit of blessing. Though his name is not yet changed, the mission is clear. He will be counted as the ancestor of a people through whom nations are promised to be blessed. Days pass and Abram continues to move. The chapter closes with faith revealed as a journey. It is not an instant fix, but a life marked by steps of trust building and correction. The promise remains ahead and calls for perseverance. In the end, Genesis 12 teaches that faith begins with a call and is proven by a lifetime of steps. God promises land and descendants and pursues a covenant even when people falter. If this story moved you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you do not miss the next one.